What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy Mark Roden. Today is Thursday and it is like 90 degrees in Connecticut right now and we don't have AC, so I'm sweating my balls off. So today I decided to take it a little bit easy and do another good, bad, and ugly. I know, 2 good, bad, and uglies in 1 week. What is Mark doing? I'm probably gonna be like going like a lot during this video because it is hot outside today, boys, so bear with me here. But today we're doing the good, bad, and ugly on the Cadillac Escalade, all generations. I decided to bunch them all into one video instead of make a different video for everyone, just because there's not that big of a demand for an Escalade video, so I decided I'll just throw them all in one video. So all 5 generations of the Escalade we're going to be going over today. If you want to see your car in the next video, leave a comment down below with your car in it. I think I already got the Volkswagen GTI Mark 1 and Mark 2 to go, and then I got to make another video soon. I think I have another one lined up. For some reason I can't remember it though. But anyway, it doesn't matter. If you want to support the channel any more than you already are, head on over to www.smoothstance.com/shop to pick yourself up a hat, a shirt, or some shorts. And with that all out of the way, let's get right into the video. Okay, so like I said before, yes, there is 5 generations of the Cadillac Escalade, and today, yes, we are going to be going over all generations of the Cadillac Escalade. And obviously this car has been built and it's still being built today, but it started production in 1999 with the first generation. And actually the first generation Cadillac Escalade was only built for 1 year. It was built from 1999 to 2000, so they're pretty rare actually, and it went by the chassis code GMT 400. The first gen came with a 5.7 liter V8, making a nice 255 horsepower, but keep in mind this is a big car, so that horsepower was literally nothing. That was just no power at all. The second generation, however, was built from the years 2001 to 2006, so a little bit of a longer time, but still not that great, and it went by the chassis code GMT 800, and that one came with a 6 liter V8 that made a very nice 345 horsepower, which is a big 100 horsepower jump from the previous generation, but that still was not enough to make this absolute tank of a vehicle actually fast in any way, to be honest. The third generation was built from the years 2007 to 2014, and it went by the chassis code GMT 900, and it came with a bunch of different engine options, to be honest with you, but the best one is a 6.2 liter V8 making a huge 403 horsepower, and this is when it finally started to get a little bit quick here. Still wasn't obviously super fast, but was starting to get a little bit better. This is also probably the most popular generation Escalade since they're very dirt cheap cars and they have all the modern amenities and features on them because, well, they're new, and so you can buy, like, you get the best of both worlds. You know, you're buying like the newer stuff but for the price of the older cars, so it's kind of the perfect middle grounds. The fourth generation was built from the years 2015 to 2020. I don't know why I said and there, and it went by the chassis code GMT K2XL, and that one came with a 6.2 liter V8 making a very nice epic gamer moment 420 horsepower, and it was my personal favorite looking generation. They just look so gosh darn sexy to me. And finally, the 5th generation was built from the years 2021 to now. It's still being built. It just came out in 2021, and it comes with a 6.2 liter supercharged V8 making an actually pretty insane 682 horsepower. This thing, even though it is still incredibly heavy, it's powerful as hell, so it does have some get up and go to her. Obviously this like 682 horsepower is equal to like a Miata having 250 horsepower, but that's still pretty impressive. Like, imagine a Miata with 250 horsepower. The thing's gonna be nuts. Now obviously the Escalade only came in a large SUV option, right? Wrong, buddy. They actually made something called the Cadillac EXT, which stands for exterior, which is like a truck slash SUV mixture and looks pretty weird to me, but some people like it. All Escalades were boring little SUVs, and so it's cool to see a little bit of a change up, and you can get a truck Escalade. Like, who wants it? I don't know, not me, but it's there if you do. Now all Escalades were offered as either all-wheel drive, or they were actually also rear-wheel drive as well, so if you somehow managed to lose enough weight, you might be able to, in your wildest dreams, drift this thing. They were also all offered with an automatic, but only a very small number of them came with a manual transmission. Now for the modifying world for this puppy, and I know that was incredibly long and incredibly annoying to listen to everything about the Escalade, but it had to be done so you guys can know the history of the car. The modding scene usually just builds these things to be off-road monsters. That's about it. Nobody's really like crazy enough to make them into a drag car, or drift car, or any sort of like race car, but there are a fair share of extremely cool people who have done that before, for sure. Drift car, I don't think I've ever seen like a drift Escalade, but that just makes sense. But there are a couple people that have made them into like race cars and stuff like that. Hennessy actually has like a 742 horsepower Escalade, so it's pretty cool. And there also are a very decent amount of people who have put massive lift kits on it and big old mudding tires on it to take it off-road, and when they do, it actually does pretty well. Like, obviously it's not like a Jeep, you know, because they're pretty heavy, and surprisingly you do want a lightweight car when you're taking it off-road. But they're still pretty good. If you want an off-road car that's like a little bit different from the pack and a little bit of a challenge to make it actually work, then the Cadillac Escalade is a good choice. But now it's time for the good, the bad, and the ugly. And in case you're new here, the way this works is we first go over the good, which are things that are great about the car and you cannot deny are selling points on the car. Then we go over the bad, which are things that are issues, but if it doesn't bother you, then it's no big deal. And then we get into the ugly, which are things that are just issues that you're going to have to address no matter who you are. We're going to start with the good, though, and right off the bat is the elephant in the room, the comfort. These things are going to ride like a damn Cadillac because it is a damn Cadillac, buddy, okay? So if you want to be comfortable, buy this. Next is the space is not only in not only the trunk, but the seats too, is pretty damn good. You have plenty of leg room, plenty of seats for all your children and fishing gear, and if you don't have children, you can put the back seats down and have plenty of storage space. You got all kinds of space. Next is the reliability. These are some reliable automobiles, my good sir. GM is very good at making reliable V8s, and this was no exception at all. They pretty much are a Tahoe, but with the extra pretty parts on it. Next is the cup holders. It's a family SUV, so obviously there's going to be a lot of cup holders and they're going to be pretty goddamn big, but you can fit like a whole keg in a cup holder if you want to in this car, and I love cup holders. You need cup holders, so that's a good point. Next is the price. These things are more comfortable than half the new cars on the road. I'm talking about like the second generation here, but they only cost like $5,000. That's a steal of a deal. Like, these cars are literally more comfortable than like a new Subaru Forester, and you're paying like $5,000 for it. Easy money. Next is the safety. It is obviously due to its size the reason why it's so safe, but if you get into a collision with another car, chances are you're going to be a-okay. Now, that doesn't mean that you should just go crash into everybody out there and just be reckless driving, but if you do get into an accident, you're going to be all right. Next is the simple tiny little things like the doors. They close very softly. They're like little nice little closing doors. I like that. It has a sunroof. There's not that much outside noise that comes into the cabin. You don't feel like the body roll a lot when taking corners. It's just there's a couple things that are just tiny but are nice about it. And finally, for the good, is the interior quality. Think about a Chevy Tahoe, but imagine they just absolutely balled out on the interior. That's pretty much an Escalade, and the Chevy Tahoe already has a pretty decent interior, and so the Escalade, it just really stepped it up a notch. Now we are into the bad, which aren't necessarily actual problems that you're going to have to face, but just things to look out for and be wary of. And first is the sound. Obviously, most people buying an Escalade don't really care about the sound. In my personal opinion, it sounds actually pretty cool, but here's a clip anyways. Next is the aftermarket support is just not there. There isn't like a great project to build up. There's not many performance mods, and there's almost zero cosmetic mods for it. So if you want like a big project car, not the best idea. Next is the community. Once again, isn't really there. If you want to be a part of something bigger and you want to go on cruises with your Cadillac Escalade friends, I got bad news for you. It's not really going to happen. 90% of the people that own these cars are like Wall Street traders. So next is the Apple CarPlay in the newer models. Apparently kind of sucks. I don't know how bad it is, but it just isn't as good as most cars, most people are saying. I guess if you care about that, that's an issue. I couldn't care less about Apple CarPlay. I just use my phone and plug it in, and that's what I use for the radio. Next is the gas mileage issue. This is a huge SUV with a huge V8 in it. It will make you broke with today's gas prices, okay? It's going to, if you can't afford the SUV V8 lifestyle, don't buy the SUV V8 lifestyle, because this gas is going to charge you like $100 a week for gas alone. Next is they don't come with a manual. I know you don't need a manual in an Escalade, but it still sucks not having that option. Next is the speed, isn't great. Even though some of the later models do have huge horsepower numbers, it really honestly just doesn't matter when the vehicle is so huge. Obviously, once again, I understand most people aren't buying an Escalade to go fast, but in case you were thinking of going fast in your Cadillac Escalade and impressing all the ladies, that's not how you're going to impress them with this car. Next is the remote start seems to have issues, which can be a big problem. It also seems like the key fob itself has issues, so if you can't unlock your truck, or better yet, even start your truck, how are you going to drive your truck? You know what I'm saying? It has a lot of problems there. Obviously, American car companies don't do the best with their whole electronic key fobs and stuff like that, and this one kind of shows that. And finally, for the bad is all the small things, like the navigation system is kind of dookie. The lane alert, which it blows my mind that people actually need a lane alert instead of just turning their damn heads around, but that isn't that great. The climate control isn't that great either. The doors are pretty heavy. They can come back and slam on your shins if you're not careful. All things that are really not an issue at all, but just something to look out for if you're like really picky. But now it's time for the ugly, and first of all, I want to say that my GoPro just died in the middle of filming, like 10 minutes worth of stuff. Don't buy a GoPro in case you're thinking about buying something to film videos on for YouTube. GoPro batteries die in like 10 minutes. But anyway, right off the bat for the ugly is the pricing on the new models. These things are ridiculously expensive. You're spending literally 6 figures on an SUV that's going to drop half of its price the second that you roll it off the lot. It is an insane depreciation car, and you can see that with the old models now that go for like $5,000. Those cars were also once worth like $100K, and now they're just $5,000. It's ridiculous. And second is the wonderful performance that this car has. It sucks. It's not fast. Obviously, the Escalade isn't meant to be a race car, but I feel like most people might forget that on this channel, so I want to make it incredibly clear. You are not going to build this thing to be some sort of race car or even an off-road beast. There's millions of better options for both those things for the prices that these things are at. These cars are meant for a person that wants to just have a comfortable commute from work to back in time and just do it with the most space and its safety and all the nice amenities in it. So, do I think that you should get a Cadillac Escalade? Well, it highly depends on which generation that you go for. If you want like the first gen up to the 3rd gen, then yeah, they're cheap, amazing luxury SUVs that still hold up today and aren't going to break the bank while being able to haul literally whatever it is that you're hauling, wherever it is you want to go. It can do everything that a full-size pickup truck does, while also being a more comfortable Tahoe. And like I said before, the older generation Escalades still hold up today. They're still incredibly comfortable. The interior is still really nice, okay? So it's like, you're not like outdated, if that makes any sense. But the 4th generation or 5th generation, I truly believe that you'd be better off going with a Suburban or a Chevy Tahoe for that price. They do pretty much the exact same thing, but they just don't have as nice of an interior, but they just cost so much less. I mean, is it really worth that much more to you guys just to have a nicer interior? In my opinion, it isn't. Like I said before, the interior on the Tahoes and Suburbans aren't lackluster. There's still a nice interior, so it's not like you're driving a freaking hoopty around. It's still pretty nice. It's just not as nice as an Escalade. So if you're buying a 4th gen or 5th gen, I would recommend just going with a Tahoe or a Suburban. But if you want to buy a Gen 1 through 3, then yeah, I think a Cadillac Escalade is a great choice. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed. I am going to stop filming really quickly because I'm sweating my balls off. But I just want to say, before I do stop filming, thank you so much. You guys are awesome. We're at 24,000 subscribers. It means the absolute world to me. Tomorrow, I'm probably going to do another like top 10 type video. But the day after that, Saturday, because I'm probably going to post 6 times a week, I figured why not. I'm probably going to make a video like that's kind of different from what I've ever done before. Something like where like I talk about one specific car for the whole video, but it isn't a good, bad, and ugly, because Hyundai just released a new car and it looks awesome. And I want to make a whole video dedicated to just that car and like what it's going to do and all that stuff. And so I'm probably going to do that. But anyway, guys, like I said, I'm going to end this fast and I'm sweating. So thank you guys so much for watching. Das Vidania. Have a nice night.